I think turning Ben 10 aliens into dragons is the video that I've been most excited to make since I started doing this whole series of turning stuff into dragons. But of course, because I put out a poll a while ago and subscribers voted on X-Men and My Hero Academia characters above Ben 10, I figured I should do those videos first. Which wasn't a problem because I had a lot of fun with those as well. But now it's finally time for Ben 10 aliens to become dragons, and I think their designs and their stories are gonna transition really, really well. Let's see if I'm right. And, of course, if you're not subscribed already, make sure to subscribe so that you're more likely to see the polls when I let people vote on what videos I make. And also hitting the like button always helps with these videos getting boosted up the algorithm. But I think that ticks off the list of tedious, cringy things I have to say before I actually get into the video, so let's get into the video, shall we? Our dragons today come from vastly different regions of the world from one another, and all have many myths and legends surrounding them because of their unusual abilities. The first is a dragon that keeps to the icy mountains of the Himalayas. The Frostwing Mountain Dragon is a rather small dragon with merely a 20-foot wingspan, but in spite of that, it has many strengths that keep it safe from predators. These Frostwings are ice dragons that can breathe beams of frost that can freeze enemies solid in an instant. They also have 4 wings, and that, combined with their light frames, make them incredible at maneuvering the cloudy, mountainous terrain in which they reside. It is possibly because of this that claims have been made by some that these dragons can actually phase their bodies to become intangible, and they can physically fly through mountains. But keep in mind, at the heights that they reside in, there are many clouds and storms impeding visibility. It is entirely possible that the people making these claims have merely seen the Frostwings flying through massive clouds that they've mistaken for mountains. Whether or not the legends are true, these are miraculous dragons that only the boldest of explorers have had the pleasure of seeing in the wild. Now, I was super excited to do Big Chill for this, partially because I don't think I've ever drawn him on the channel in any form, and also because I was really excited to do an Ice Dragon, or Frost Dragon, because I've done Lightning Dragons and Fire-breathing Dragons, but no ice ones. I guess I could have had the opportunity in the X-Men episode, I could have done Iceman for that, but there's a lot less going on with Iceman's design than there is with Big Chill's design. There's just more to pull from on Big Chill. Part of me thought he would almost be too easy to transition into a dragon because he's already got wings, but I couldn't resist. Also because I don't think I've done a dragon with 4 wings in this series yet, and I thought that would be kind of fun to do. Even though, as you saw early on, it gave me some composition troubles because I have a hard time figuring out where to put the wings in dragon drawings a lot of the time as it is, so having 4 wings just made it that much harder. But it actually turned into a nice way of, composing the character's head, sort of in between a focal point that all the wings are kind of pointing towards. And also for this dragon's design, I took a bit of inspiration from the dragons in Reign of Fire, which my favorite YouTuber, Mr. Sunday Movies, recently did a video looking back on that movie. It was about a dragon apocalypse that sort of ended the world. I remember loving it as a kid. I haven't really watched it since, but the dragon designs in that are so awesome, and they have a bit of bug-like quality to them. They were kind of inspired by hornets. And I really liked their menacing body poses, so I tried to pull something from their flight cycles to draw the dragon in that same sort of pose. I'm really happy with how it turned out, so I hope you all like the Frostwing Mountain Dragon. Next, we have a dragon that has been made out by some to be a deity because of its unusual physiology. The glowing heat beast is a dragon that lives inside volcanoes. In direct contrast with the Frostwings, these dragons thrive in the hottest temperatures imaginable. Ancient civilizations actually believed that these dragons were made from living magma, both because of the homes they reside in and because the flesh under their stony armored plating glows a vibrant orange and yellow color. Since their discovery, some explorers have gotten close enough to the heat beasts to see that, while their bodies do glow a miraculous color, they are in fact not made of magma. Though their bodies are incredibly hot to the touch and could easily burn a human if one made physical contact for more than a few seconds. They can also shoot fire from not only their mouths, but also their clubbed tails and their claws. They're a beast that is constantly ready for battle, and one whose rage you do not want to be on the other side of. Now with Heatblast, I debated whether or not to have fire actually spewing from his body, like Heatblast's head has fire always going from him. And I don't really know why I started doing this, but in this series so far, I've tried to make all the dragons a little bit less magical, like not so much having them in a Dungeons and Dragons kind of world, but setting them in our own world, and our narrator character, who's always telling the lore for these, every time he's talking through one of the dragons and saying, well, this dragon has a potentially magical ability, but we could also explain it by blah blah blah. Sort of like the universe that all these dragons exist in is on the brink of magic, but some people aren't willing to accept that it's a thing. I don't really know where that came from. It wasn't really an intentional decision. It just sort of happened through natural evolution in these videos. Maybe it's because all of these dragons have been set in actual places in our world, like Japan, Germany, the Himalayas. But regardless, I ended up going with this Heatblast dragon having a glowing body that's still made of flesh instead of actually being made of fire. But even still, the lighting on his body caused some problems because since his body glows and produces its own light, it was hard to do my usual shading and lighting process. After the recording's done, I add a couple more dark elements to kind of change our focus a bit. So in the end, I think this one ended up coming together in a really cool way. I hope you like the result. Just a friendly mid-video reminder that if you want some of these dragons or dragons from my past videos as posters, they're available for purchase on my Teespring store, which you can conveniently find in a little bar underneath all my videos. Got a whole bunch of what I consider my best dragons up on there as posters that you can buy. Shipping's admittedly a little bit slow right now, but if you order them now, they should get there within about 2 weeks, I think. But yeah, check them out there if you want some dragon posters. Anyway, let's get back into the next two speed paints and lures, shall we? For our next dragon, we take ourselves as far from the mountaintops as we could go, to the depths of the sea. The riptide ocean drake is a terrifying sea monster with uncovered teeth that are as tough as the hardest steel. Some believe if an opportunity arose, these dragons could even bite through the wings of the North American shielded wyvern, though this theory has never been put to the test. Riptides spend much of their time kilometers beneath the waves, but they have been known to attack seafaring travelers, decimating large ships in mere moments. And they can even launch themselves out of the water to heights of up to 40 feet to snatch birds or other dragons out of the sky. This is doable because of the incredible swimming speeds that they can reach. Despite the fact that these dragons are called drakes, they do in a way have wings, but not ones made for flying. Along their backs are two large frilled water wings that they use along with their tails to rocket themselves through the waters up to 100 kilometers per hour. While some beings fear sharks, these creatures are the true reason humans should be wary of exploring the seas. Now, Riptide was the dragon that I was most excited to draw and design, and part of that is because I knew he was going to be the weird one of the episode, and as I've said in past episodes, a lot of the time for these episodes, the weirder dragons are my favorite ones to make. But I was also excited to draw him because after doing my live stream a few weeks back where I put the Carnage symbiote on Ripjaws, did I say Riptide earlier? The dragon's called Riptide, the character's called Ripjaws. Anyway, I realized that in doing that design, Ripjaws might be my favorite Ben 10 alien design, specifically the later design when they've changed up his proportions a little bit, given him bigger forearms and legs. The reference image on screen is the design I'm talking about. And I also had some ideas for the environment that I wanted to play around with, because for these dragon videos, because a lot of people want them turned into posters for my online store, as I mentioned earlier, I have to compose them a little bit differently. Usually when I'm drawing stuff on this channel, I'm making it square, which I don't really know why I ended up doing that in the first place, but it makes them easier for posting on Instagram, which is the only other place I really post art besides YouTube. But now that these are being made to go up on my online store, I have to think about them a bit differently, so it gives me some interesting composition opportunities that I don't have when working square. So I decided to have this one where the sun is kind of setting in the background and there's light trailing towards the creature, so it's nice and bright and kind of nice in the back, but more dark and menacing in the front with the dragon kind of lurched over a rock. The composition was heavily inspired by some other awesome dragon art that I saw. If you just Google water dragons, you can probably see the stuff I'm talking about. But yeah, I really love how this one turned out. Even though it's the least dragon-y looking, I think it's super cool and turned out exactly how I wanted. Our final dragon of the day doesn't have a home, so far as we know, because they're capable of traveling the entire globe in mere hours. The skyborn Acceleragon is possibly the fastest dragon on Earth, though there are some lightning dragons that seem capable of competing. Still, the skyborns are impossibly quick thanks to light frames combined with wings that stretch nearly twice as wide as their bodies are long at full reach. They also have what could be considered a second skull on the outside of their heads. The slick oval helm both helps with aerodynamics and can protect their heads from incredibly violent blows. And just inside this, they also have a retractable second set of eyelids. But these eyelids are a bright turquoise color, and they're translucent to be used presumably to protect their eyes when moving at top speeds. Of course, at their top speeds, it's nearly impossible for us to see them as more than a blurred streak. Like the wingless orbital marvel, these dragons never seem to land, though they will come close to the Earth to snatch up prey in their sword-like talons. If you do see them approach the Earth to hunt, take a moment to watch in awe, because even if you're the one being hunted, there's no reason to try fleeing. You won't escape these dragons' remarkable speed. Now, it was really hard deciding who to do last for this video because, as I've said, there's so many awesome Ben 10 designs, and especially now that I'm fleshing out the backgrounds and the composition a little bit more, there's no way I was going to be able to do more than 4 dragons for this video. But I really wanted to do an accelerator dragon, and I think a few people in the comment sections have asked for one / requested one. So what I decided to do for this video was not do any of the Ben 10 aliens that I turned into dinosaurs in my Ben 10 aliens as dinosaurs video from a few weeks ago. Because even though it's not the same thing, some of those dinosaurs were pretty dragon-like, so I didn't want to repeat myself too much. Although, now I do really want to do a diamond head dragon and a wild nut dragon. But anyway, I figured this dragon would be a good opportunity to do a pretty simple design and a dragon with some nice big wings. In the last My Hero Academia Dragons episode, I did Tenya Ida, and was obviously working with a character who had super speed again, but that one I made more land-based. This one I wanted to make him a skyborn dragon that's all about speed. So do some really massive wings, and to try and make sure we could still see them, I had him kind of tucking them in a bit as if he's just flown up, is in a halt, and is about to dive down on someone. I thought it was a really cool pose, although from the lore I wrote for him, he probably should have had slightly bigger wings still, or at least a smaller body in comparison to the wings. But I'm not fussed about it, because I really love how this turned out. Though I do kinda wish I'd had a little bit more turquoise in and around his head, to make the head look a little bit more Accelerate-like. Regardless, I think this is a great dragon to wrap up the video. I hope you like the dragons in this episode. Here's the Skyborn Acceleragon. I'm calling it. This was the best Dragons episode so far, in my opinion anyway. I'd put this in first, the first My Hero Academia Dragons episode in second, and the second Avengers episode in third. Those are my top 3. But if you haven't seen all the others, make sure to check them out. I'll link a playlist in the pin card and the cards and wherever else. Done Avengers, Avengers villains, X-Men, My Hero Academia characters, and I'd love to do more Ben 10 aliens. So make sure to tell me what other Ben 10 aliens, or what other characters from other franchises you'd like to see turned into dragons, or into really anything else. And if you want more Ben 10 stuff, I've got lots of it on the channel. I've venomized Ben 10 aliens, turned them into Dungeons & Dragons monsters, and a lot of other things. But that's all for today. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'm Christian Pearson. This has been PopCross Studios, home of the nerdiest art videos on YouTube. Videos come out Fridays and Mondays, so I'll see you all on Friday. Goodbye, everybody.